The presidential candidate of Nigeria's Labour Party, Peter Obi, has criticized the Supreme Court verdict on the 2023 general election. He says the apex court ignored the overwhelming evidence presented to it. Obi, speaking at a press conference on Monday, accused the Supreme Court and the Independent National Electoral Commission of shifting the goalpost as the umpire of the election. Recall that the Supreme Court's ruling had agreed with September 6th verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Court on all counts. The apex court, in its lead judgment, prepared and read by Justice Inyang Okoro, held that there was no merit in Atiku of PDP and Obi of LP's petitions to nullify the election outcome.
Previously benefited from the rulings of the Supreme Court on electoral matters have, after a period of deep and sober reflection, decided to personally and formally react to the recent judgments as most Nigerians have. Because we are confronted with very weighty issues of national interest, I will speak forthrightly. As a young student lad at CKC Onitsha, we were taught values and admonished to always choose harder rights instead of easier wrong.
To talk about this further, I'm being joined on the news by the convener, Vote Must Count International Initiative, Dr. Barry Avutu Johnson. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let me start with your impression of the Supreme Court verdict of the 2023 presidential election.
Well, I practically will just tell you the way it is, and without fear or favor, it is very clear that the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has shown a lot of criminality in the disbursement of judgment over time. And since 2015, we have seen the nonsensical attitude of these judgments presented in our elections, and it has graduated into a total nuisance, a total nonsense, because practically, if you look at it very well, it is clear that Adebola Tinubu did not win the 2023 presidential elections, and the world knows that Peter Obi won that election, and it is very hard for you to come up and tell us that you will not play around issues of facts and truth and new facts coming up that was supposed to at least be listened to by the Supreme Court. How could the Electoral Act say one thing and the judges are now saying another thing? The Electoral Act says it is practical for you to be designed to be declared as a president-elect when you score 25% of votes in 23 states of the Federation of Nigeria, and of course, the Federal Capital Territory. I don't know why the word "and" became something else. Even a young person in primary school will be able to define and describe what "and" means. "And" means with Abuja, plus Abuja, by force. But we saw the subversion in the Court of Appeal. And the Electoral Act also gave us the opportunity to know that you cannot even contest for the election to the position of president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria when you run dual citizenship. And we have seen a passport from Guinea-Conakry carrying the face and the name of Adebola Tinubu as its owner. So right now, all these are discrepancies. And during the collation of the results at the International Conference Center, it was clear. The Electoral Act says when there are discrepancies, there are disenfranchisement of voters during the collation, when issues are given the opportunity for all aggrieved political parties to make a complaint, by the Act, it says it gives 9 days opportunity window to review. And we saw Dino Melai of the PDP and the Labour Party candidate, agent, accosting the INEC chairman. And at the end of the day, what happened? The chairman said he's going to do a review. But we didn't see a review. What we saw was a declaration of someone who did not meet the Electoral Act requirements.
Okay,
So
if I may just chip in there,
it's
Mr.
not about
Johnson.
the law
Mr.
anymore.
Johnson, if I may just quickly chip in there, you made reference to, the certificate of President Bola Tinubu. That has been thrown out of court as there were no substantive evidence to back that up that, it was indeed fake. But then I want to find out from you, following the Supreme Court ruling, Peter Obi of the Labour Party held a press conference saying the court ignored overwhelming evidence presented to it. What do you think is the way forward, for Peter Obi in terms of his agreement with the court ruling?
Well, I think for Peter Obi, and if you excuse me, I'd like to add the Labour Party to it because they are timing one person. I think for me, for the 2023 presidential elections, according to the laws of Nigeria and according to the subverted judgment presented to the world by the Supreme Court, it is the end of the road for Peter Obi at this time. And for me, it is time for him to get back on board and make sure he's not using the same broken boards that have been used over time. He has to go back and start all over again and run for 2027, because if you check his address in paragraph 9, you confirm that Peter Obi has declared himself going to run again. So it's a good one for us, it's a good one for Nigerians, and it's a good one for the credibility of individuals contesting elections, most especially for the position of the president in Nigeria. So practically, we like to see a Peter Obi come back and square it out again. But this time, he has to look at the little pocket of mistakes by the Labour Party and try to check the excesses of INEC, who has collaborated in subverting judgment by the Supreme Court and also disenfranchising a lot of Nigerians in this election. So, Peter Obi, we ask you to get back home, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and reminisce for 2027. All the mistakes made, you can now work it out and give Nigerians the benefit of doubt that the credibility you already play with, you already show, is still going to be there. You are a force to reckon with. It is clear that you won this election, but you have to get back and plan the best. Although, if you ask me, I would tell Peter Obi not to get back to the same drawing board.
I hear you, Mr. Johnson.
That drawing board is corrupt.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Just a final one before I let you go. What are the lessons so far? We have by-elections coming up in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states at the weekend. What are the lessons for INEC? What are the lessons for the judiciary in terms of conducting elections, such as to prevent controversies going forward?
I was saying in one other international TV station like yours, and I was telling the world that this INEC leadership is corrupt. This INEC leadership should have been the only leadership that should not be allowed to conduct this
election. But Mr. Johnson, when you make such statements, do you have facts to back that up, saying that this INEC is corrupt? What are your facts and evidences to say that it is corrupt?
Because they refuse to follow the requirements presented by the Electoral Act. That's corruption. Corruption does not mean it deals with only money. When you abuse the office, it's corruption. And we have seen this Mahmoud Yakubu as a corrupt electoral Dracula that should not be given the opportunity to continue as the INEC chairman. If this government is serious to curb the excesses of the illegality in our elections, INEC chairman should be removed. He should not be given the opportunity. He failed. Why should somebody who failed be given another opportunity to continue?
Okay. However,
moreover, if you see the apparatus of the military...
Pardon me to cut in very quickly. Apologies for that. Let's look at it holistically. Let's propose solutions. Going forward, what are your recommendations in terms of conducting elections going forward in Nigeria? Recommendations.
This administration of Adebola Tinubu must look out of the box to do the needful. They must look out of the box to do the right thing. And the right thing will be allowing the people to decide on who they choose as their governors in Bayelsa, in Imo, or in Kogi State. They should not use the military to guard the people. And the relative peace we have enjoyed so far in the past presidential elections, the general elections, was because the person of Peter Obi is peaceful. But you cannot tell us that the person of the Labour Party candidates or other political parties in Bayelsa, in Imo, or in Kogi are going to be peaceful. So therefore, we're calling on the security apparatus of Nigeria to stay away from the voters, to stay away from the election. What they are expected to do is to protect the integrity of Nigeria and to provide security for electioneering activities in these 3 states. If they go ahead to help the APC to rig election in these states, it's a clear manifestation that Nigeria will be on the opportunity of being unrest. And we don't need that for now. We need to build our country. We need to move our country forward. And the only way to move Nigeria forward is when the security people play parallel, play to the gallery, run the activities of this election, give every political party the same chance you are giving to the APC so that the right person who wins will be declared as governor.
And that's a fine place. That's a very fine place to wrap it up this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Barry Avutu Johnson, convener Vote Must Count International Initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.